That's where he started. First sentence, life is suffering. And yet everybody has this mystery that they're suffering. They go, oh, why is my life not working? So a lot of people I hear over and over that have been playing this game for a long time is they don't realise that life is suffering, life is difficulty, with occasional bits of not that. Life is challenging. We have to do lots of things we don't want to do. There's lots of emotions, there's lots of drama, there's lots of misunderstandings, there's lots of pain, sickness, old age, death. That's the script. That's how it is. So you get taught that it's all about go to school, be a good boy, good girl, and you can get into a good secondary school, into the good classes, and you go through them, and you get into year 10, 11, 12, and you keep doing good, and you get into the good classes there, and you have a wonderful career, and you find a beautiful place, you get married, you go do a bit of travelling, get married, have kids, settle down, get old, have grandkids, have some hobbies, fill your time, because now you're retired, and pass on. And that's winning. That's the win. You won. You did it. Congratulations. It's bullshit. I mean, that may all happen, but that's not the idea of what this all is. So the Buddha said that the first thing he said after waking up, or one of the first things he taught, was the Four Noble Truths, right? Anyone know them? No? 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 Okay, this is 2,500 years ago. A guy woke up, went through incredible hardships. He was an extremely wealthy prince, and his dad told him, it's a long story. You can watch it, but anyway, he was going to be a great conqueror king or a great spiritual leader, and he became a great spiritual leader. He was told before his birth. His mum died at birth, and he was just had everything he ever wanted. And there was no old people, there was no sickness, there was only the best food, the best, most beautiful people, just paradise. He was born in paradise and never got to see anything. And then he went out one day, and he got out of the temple one day in his late teens, I think it was, and he went outside and he saw suffering. He saw an old person. He hadn't seen one before. A wrinkly old person without the shirt on, not doing too well. Saw dirt, and even though they cleaned the streets and polished everything for him and got all the beggars off the street and all the sewage out of the street, he still saw an old person, and he didn't know what it was. He didn't know what was going on. He was confused. That's how sheltered he was. The highest of educations, the highest of everything, the best of everything. And anyway, after 3 or 4 visits out to town, eventually saw someone dead in the street. He saw illness, he saw sickness, he saw get to see a whole mess out there that he didn't know existed. So he walked out. He left his wife and his baby, and he went out to find the end of suffering. He realised it was suffering, and spent years and years and years and years as a renunciate, doing all sorts of horrible practices, to the point where he, in his own words, he was skull and bones, and his eyes had retreated into his sockets, and all his ribs were just like, he had words for it, but his ribs were all just completely exposed. He emaciated, probably looked like what you'd see at a Holocaust just before somebody died. He was doing it to that level, and that's what the others were doing, because he wanted to transcend the body. He was getting burnt in the sun deliberately and staying still and doing horrible things to himself. And long story short, he saw somebody coming down the stream, and they were playing an instrument. They were adjusting the strings, and he realised, too tight doesn't work, too loose doesn't work. It's in between is the tone, is the note. And realised, this isn't the way. At that time, somebody came along and gave him some food. A young lady came and gave him some rice pudding or some sort of food like that. And he started eating it, because he was only eating 1 grain of rice a day. That's what he was eating. Okay, for a long time. 1 grain of rice a day. And then Then after realising this and much trials and tribulations, he went and sat under a Bodhi tree and says, I'm not going to get up from here until I'm enlightened, until I know what I am and I end suffering. And he sat there, and it came. He ended up waking up. Then life has happened to me a bit. Life starts throwing Mara, illusion, or the dark side starts throwing stuff at you, trying to trip you up, cause problems. And so he got through all that, and he started teaching, and spent 40 years teaching, and went back to his renunciate friends, the 5 of them. They're all emancipated like guys, and they said, oh, he's lost his way, he's off the path. And he just said to them, no, you shouldn't address me like this. I'm different now. I'm not that person anymore. You need to see what's here. And started teaching, and they could hear what he was saying, and they became his first students. And he started with the 4 Noble Truths. They are that life is suffering. It's suffering because of desire or attachment, right? Let go, surrender is the way out, number 3, right? And the teachings of the Buddha and the Sangha are the methodology. That's where he started. First sentence, life is suffering. Yet everybody has this mystery that they're suffering. They go, oh, why is my life not working? Woe is me. This is wrong, that's wrong. But it was all supposed to be beautiful, because that was what the dream I was sold by my ignorant society. I don't understand. I've got everything. I did everything. I passed the tests. I did this. I did that. I've got everything I ever wanted. Why am I unhappy? Well, because you have desire. You're in ignorance still. Attachment. Dreams. Step 1. Realize life is suffering. Even if Buddha had stayed in the kingdom, in the temple, he would have and become a great warrior. He would have just a great warrior king. He would have ended up being in great suffering anyway. He would have got older. And towards the end of his life, his whole kingdom got wiped out by an invading army. Everyone got murdered and killed violently. His whole kingdom was wiped off the planet. So he would have been there as warrior king, and he would have died anyway. Even trying to avoid all that suffering, he would have just been in war. So that wasn't the way out either. It was the Garden of Eden. The more you have to defend, the more you have to worry about, the more dust collects, the more repairs required, the more income required, which introduces more drama into your life. Suffering, suffering, suffering. Why? Because you're not enough already. You don't know what you are. You're lost asleep, sleeping. That's why it's called waking up. You think you're going to get these things outside of you. You think that's where the answers lie. They don't. And it's not you thinking. Thoughts just come. They're not even your thoughts. They're your school teacher's thoughts. They're your mum and dad's thoughts. They're your friend down the street's thoughts. They're the newscasters, or your university lecturer's thoughts, etc., etc., etc. Your partner's thoughts. And you come to these a large variety of agreements within yourself and live from them and think it's you, and then wonder why you're suffering. Because you think you're the thoughts and the body. You're not. They're just inheritances, just like your body. So 2,500 years later, probably 7.5 billion people are deep in ignorance about what they are, and probably 6 billion don't even know what they are, or don't even have the option. It's not in their religion. It's hidden from them. Christianity, Muslim, whatever else. They're the two big ones. Even in many sects of Buddhism, the truth's hidden. Pray to Buddha. Pray for your child's education to Buddha. No. That's desire. So, if you wonder why you're suffering, well, that's the human condition. Okay? If you want to be a human, if you want to be a person going somewhere, a human doing, you will suffer. It's just how much. Even doing this work and knowing about this, you can keep minimizing that, minimizing, and that might be enough for you. That's okay. But a human doing is suffering. A human being is not suffering, or much less suffering, and pure being is the end of suffering. So the Toltecs call it losing the human form. What's the human form? Thoughts, the idea of somebody doing something, going somewhere. That's what they mean, the human form. It's a form, it's a frame, it's a collection, it's a bag, basket of goods. Trying to keep the rotten apples shiny. But they all rot. There's nothing you can do about it. So surrender, let go. The third point, let go. Surrender. Acceptance. And then find out what's in the way of what you are, of seeing what you are directly. Awareness, rediscovering awareness. The vast emptiness, the great void. Incredibly alive, gorgeous void we are.
Please like or subscribe if you found value. Meet Rohan via rohan.life.